I've made like 29 videos on YouTube, but it's videos that no one has watched, at least not as many people as I would have hoped would be watching by now. And that makes it feel strange because you start asking yourself why you're doing this thing and why you keep going because you really can't see what's ahead of you. You can't see where this is going to end up and you can't see what is eventually going to happen. And so you keep doing it because of the hope, pure hope that it's going to at some point have a payoff. And so I wanted to speak a little about this, especially for that person who is in the same boat as I am, who has been doing this thing, YouTube specifically, and trying his best or her best to make it happen, to succeed at this. But it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So think about a joke. What makes a joke funny? What makes a joke funny is shared context. So for you to understand a joke that someone makes, you have to speak the same language they do. You have to know the same things they do. You have to maybe live in the same places they do or have a shared culture or history, nostalgia, whatever, right? So you at some level need to come from the same set of conditions for you to be able to understand this joke. Now, for jokes that don't require you to have as much shared context, they have to have been jokes for some time to transcend those contextual boundaries or borders, right? So think about a joke in a different language. Sometimes that joke doesn't end up being as funny when it's translated. And I've seen this a lot, especially when I was trying to learn Russian, right? There's some jokes that I would want to relay, some English jokes, but whenever I translated them, they didn't end up being as funny as they were in English, and vice versa. Sometimes a friend would come excited to share a joke in Russian, but the moment I didn't get it, and they had to struggle to explain it, not just explain the joke, but translate it into a language that would be more understandable to me, which was English, it would stop being funny. You would sometimes wonder what they were even talking about, right? But sometimes it would work and you would be able to understand that joke. But those were jokes that mostly came from pop culture, right? So music, art, and mostly TV and film, especially TV and film. So because even Russian speakers have watched the same movies and TV that English speakers have. And so sometimes, so they'll tend to understand the jokes that were made in these pieces of art because they've also shared in that context. And so as I think of that, it relates to YouTube in my opinion because YouTube is interesting to the extent that we think about it as the algorithm, right? But I don't think there's anything as algorithm, or maybe there is, but I think the algorithm is essentially figuring out, and this is not something that you can try to engineer this from the beginning, right? But I feel like if you're like me and you don't want it to be mechanical and to figure out everything before you even start, to know your niche and know who you're going to be speaking to and all that, right? I feel like you could go that way. And you probably, because you'd have chosen a niche that is very specific and defined, then probably be easier to monetize when you get to that point. But that's not the reason why I'm doing YouTube. I want to find out where this goes. I want to even find out what I'm doing because I don't even know what I'm doing. At least not yet. I just know that I want to talk about the things I care about and then just see where it leads, right? And so the algorithm to me is just context. It's like you're tuning a radio and you're trying to find something that resonates. And so for you, the creator, it feels like you're not seeing any progress. But that might simply be that there's not enough people who share the context, or maybe your content hasn't found yet the people who share the context. So people in who speak in the same language as you, who have been through the same things as you. So maybe your content needs to get to them before you can see some traction. And so as YouTube, the more people YouTube is going to be showing this content to, the more your chances of resonating, or not necessarily resonating, but finding people who resonate to what you have to say. The chances of you getting to that point increase. And so don't quit. You've not failed yet. You're just trying to find that confluence. You're trying to find, you should do more actually, so that it can be shown to more, it can be pushed out until eventually it gets those people who resonate with you contextually.